Hi, I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight. Right now, we're working on a series called This is 40, a female perspective. And I've talked to many women, and tonight I'm talking to Lauren Cockerell, who's in Texas. You know, she is very, very talented in what she does. And, you know, she is a public relations and marketing expert for growing organizations. And she has her own business, which is Sweetheart & Co. And she helps other small businesses. And I guess it's been a few years now that you've been doing this operation, right? And so what was the driving force behind it? You know?
Well, thank you. Well, I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you. Looking forward to our chat. Well, it's two-pronged. There was the tactical, oh crap moment of I was 8 months pregnant and got laid off. And so it was time to make the second thing happen, which is I've always wanted to own my own business. And I've always wanted to own my own PR firm. So I'm 44 now. And so I've been in PR for as long as I haven't been, so for half my life now. And I really love serving others. And so it had been on my heart to start my own company. And then the day came when I was 8 months pregnant with our second kid, and I certainly couldn't go interview for another job. And I was like, well, today's the day.
Wow. Were you stressed? I mean, like, it's hard, you know, like I don't have kids, so I can't really say I can relate, but I mean, to have all the things, like all that happen, like a few weeks before the baby comes, it's kind of like,
it was definitely a, rug pulled out from under your feet moment. I had a feeling something was happening and changing. I'm an empath by nature, so I could sense there was a shift. A couple weeks before, I actually went to my husband. I was like, hey, I don't want to stay here anyway. Like we'd already planned, for my eventual exit, but I said, I think they might be about to let me go. Are we okay? Like, how much runway do we have? How quickly? I'm like, I can't go interview. I mean, especially in the States, just really, no matter what I say, I don't know if anyone's going to believe me saying like, no, I really want to come work. I promise. And so, he's like, we're fine. This is how much time we have, don't sweat about it. But it's like, being fired or let go is really, is a sort of a trauma. And then for it to be at such a vulnerable moment, it's just like, oh my gosh, they gave me a nice severance. So that was good.
Oh, they did. Okay. I was going to say like, and that position. Yeah. That's like,
yeah, they didn't want to get sued. So
yeah, it could be a lawsuit at that point. Yeah, exactly.
So no, they gave me what I felt was a fair severance, and they gave me the equipment that I'd had at home as kind of like so I was like, well, I guess I'll go start my company now. In hindsight, it feels a little more blasé, but in the moment I was very emotional, very upset, very stressed out. I had been a very toxic environment. And so I kind of didn't really know which way was up either. I had lost a lot of faith in myself. Ironically or coincidentally, that morning I had mailed a $5,000 check to a coach that I was hiring to like help me figure out what was next for me. Like, do I do a resume and go find another job? Do I start my own company? Like I'd already been thinking through what's my next step. And then they called me and let me go. And I'm like watching the mail truck drive away. I'm like, come back.
Check now. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
But it turned out to be very fortuitous. She helped me process everything that had happened to me. And then we started to evaluate the two paths, but very quickly I was like, no, I want to do my own thing. This is where my heart is. And so she helped hold me accountable and, help me set up some initial values and help me think through how I wanted to show up as a business person. And so it's very helpful. And I started getting clients right away. So it was very fortunate circumstance and things turned around very quickly.
How did you build like your network so quickly?
Right. So as soon as I felt things shifting, I reached out to my first boss and mentor. So I reached out to her to say like, hey, I think things are shifting a little bit. I can take on side work if there's ever a project you don't want to do or if there's anything you want to team up on. And so she became almost like an outside salesperson for me. And then I also reached out to my network just saying, hey, I'm available. And I had past clients coming to me saying like, oh, can we be on retainer with you? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I think when it's supposed to happen, some things happen, and hearing you talk about that reminds me of like when I started this journey, like the podcast, like everything just kind of happened like I got into this business boot camp through a friend I know from high school, and like my editor, my designer, Yim, I know her from like elementary school. Someone even offered to be my editor. So like, I don't know. I find like if it's something you're passionate about, it might be scary in the beginning, but it works out. And like, here you are now to talk about it. Right. And so,
yeah. It's kind of like you're living right. It's like you're in line with your purpose. And cause as I was wrapping up that corporate role, I really was not living in a way that I felt like I was put on this earth to do. Like I was selling I'd moved from a PR role into like selling commodities and, selling Office 365 and managed hosting. I was like, kill me now.
Oh,
and
no.
My special skills and talents were not being used. And I was like, oh man, I like to solve problems, I like to help people. And like, I couldn't help people. Like it was just not, they were like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I just want to buy this thing, And so I remember one day I was talking to my coach at the time, and then I was telling her about all the progress that was happening at that time. And so I was at postpartum and had all these clients coming in, and she was like, gosh, Lauren, I just want you to know, like, this is not how a new business is supposed to start. Like, you're very lucky. And in the moment I said, now wait a minute. I've been working for 15 years. Like, I have a reputation. This is, yes, I am fortunate, but it's not luck. Like, I have a body of work that I'm and a network, and, I made sure not to burn bridges over the years so I could walk across them at this exact moment. Like, I don't think it's fair to call it totally luck here.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's safe to say, like, if you have a good work ethic with people and like they remember like what you did to help them, no matter what, they'll remember you. And I think that's like when it's your calling and you're helping people, that they'll come, right? And so, do you feel like, okay, from your past work experiences, where did you work prior? Because obviously, this is like the road that leads you here, right? So, where did you start your career in PR?
Yep. So I graduated with a business degree from a small liberal arts school in 2003, and like literally stumbled into a PR firm, not even knowing what PR was. I was like, can I be an intern here? I had a friend who was an intern there, and she was leaving town. I was like, this is the naivete of a 22-year-old. I was like, well, can I have your internship? Like they're transferable, which they're not. And she was like, I don't know, we can ask. And so they hired, dumb old me, but I've always loved stories. And it ended up being this incredible mashup. Like, I didn't even know what it was, but turns out that I love stories and I love business, and I was able to pull them together. And I was like, I'm the perfect person for PR. And so I was there. I started as an intern, and then 10 years later when I left, I was the vice president. And just, right away, I was like, I want to do this. I want to own this business. I ended up not wanting to own that business in particular. Like, I just was like, I think I'd rather start my own thing one day. But after 10 years, I'd gotten married. We knew we wanted to start a family. I was in my 30s at that point. And so I was like, well, we don't have maternity leave or anything here. We're just, tiny little PR agency. And I wanted to try something different anyway. I kind of felt like I'd run out of runway there. So a client hired me and I went in-house. They created a director of public relations role for me. And it was two sister IT companies. So I went from the agency to this IT shop and was running their PR and some vendor relationships. And that role changed over time. So after 5 years, they laid me off and I started my company, and will be 8 years in October.
Wow. 8 years. Wow. So in the 8 years that you've been doing this, what do you think you've learned in that time period? Like, how do you run a successful business, especially a PR business?
It's been an evolution, honestly. I think it is like with children. Every age and stage has its pros and cons. You're starting out, you're trying to figure it out. Who are you? And when I started the company, I was burned and burned out, and I just thought, I don't want to hire anybody. I'm just going to do this myself. I was just like, whew, no. But then quickly needed to staff up for different projects. And so I allowed it to evolve as I felt like it was meant to be, like to think about like what, the first year of my son's life, and then also my business life, like, that needed something at that time where it was like, I was more of a solopreneur, consultant, and now I have a team of 7. But I think one thing that I realized in business ownership is that it has allowed me to be the most fully actualized person that I'm meant to be. Like, it really has brought out every part of me that I had not been able to bring to the table as a W-2 employee at other roles. Now, that's not to say like everybody needs to have their own business, because I think there are roles and functions for which we need someone who wants to show up and do the same thing every single day. And we need them to make the system run. And we need people who are entrepreneurs where they don't want to own their own business, but they want to treat my business as theirs. Like we need every lid for a different pots. But I think one of the things that I've done as I've grown the company is institutionalize culture and defining, who we are as a business, what are our values, and, how do we imbue everything that we do with who we are so that our brand can live beyond just me. It's not just me anymore. And so I think, sometimes people are missing that. They're missing culture that really helps make people want to show up every day and they want to fight for the business as if it's theirs. And that's something I see it with clients when they're struggling. That can often be part of the reason. And then I see people who are doing it really beautifully with thousands of employees. So maybe I got there in the end on your answer.
You did. It's like me when I asked you a question. I'm like, wait, that was a fully loaded question. But when you said institutionalized culture, what do you mean? Can you elaborate on that? Like, that's an interesting thing.
Right. Well, it's, some people say like, oh, we got a great culture. Like, what does that mean? They've got ping pong tables or something like that. Whereas one of the smart things I've done in this business is coming up with our core values. They weren't just like, oh, this is Lauren's secret sauce. It's like, okay, these are attributes that people, they came out of the woodwork when I started the company to work with me because of these things, but also I see them in people who want to work for us. So strategy first, hungry and humble, delightfully curious, do what we said, be the easy button. Those are our core values. And so when I put those on paper and I defined them and I shared them with the team, well, I could have just stopped there. What we also did, we created it as a part of our employee recruitment process. Yeah. So when someone applies for a role, they have to tell us how those values resonate with them and how they show up with those values, like what they mean to them. And then as we're talking to them, we're screening for them. Okay, like, they said this is, do what they said, like, but are they really walking the walk here? We use it in disciplinary actions as well. So if you tell me you're going to have a draft to me tomorrow, but then you're a week late with it, over and over and over again, now that's a values violation and we have to have a conversation about that. And I've dismissed people before because of it. And then also we have a values champion every week. So, and the team manages it. So today someone was nominated for a value. Next week they're nominating somebody else. And so it perpetuates on and on. And so it's like, it's not just, oh, you're a strategy first, but you have to say why. So it's like caught doing good. So it's like, it's this continuation where it's always alive and well in our organization. And that's one part of culture. It's not just values, but it really helps from the foundational aspect of, here's who we are. Here's who we say we are. Here's how we act, how we say we are. And then that really feeds into everything else and how we treat each other and our clients.
And so who are your clients? Like you say in your more or less who you are as an individual that you serve smaller businesses. And so the small guy versus the big guy, you know what I mean? We're just starting off here, right?
Right. It varies, and not necessarily micro businesses like my own, but we tend to work a fair amount in the North Texas area just because I'm from here and I've lived here most of my life. And this is where my network is. But we also have folks around the country and, really looking for folks who, I say values driven, but I mean that in like their core values drive them. They're looking to treat their team well. They're looking to treat their community well. They're looking to treat their clients well. And, maybe they aren't great at articulating what it is they're trying to accomplish. And that's where we come in to help them cast that vision and communicate all the wonderful things that they're doing. A lot of unsung heroes. We love like the folks in the manufacturing or industrial or financial services space. Like they're not quote unquote sexy, but we love it because we can really like crack open the chest of the business and pull out that beating heart and be like, no, look at what you're doing. Like, yes, you're selling these little widgets that, you might think nobody cares, but you do care because you're employing these many people and you're able to contribute thousands of dollars a year to these nonprofits and blah, blah, on and on and on. And so that's what we love. And multi-generational businesses is a little bit of a side niche for us, helping that third or fourth generation step into their family's legacy and help them really crystallize what they want to do moving forward as while they're honoring the past. So it ranges. We've got some folks in the kind of like 1 to 10 million revenue range, small business. And then we have some in like the $1 billion range, where they, I was talking to somebody the other day. They're like, I'm sorry. I just, we need you. We're not very sophisticated. I'm like, listen, if you didn't need me, what would I be here for? Like, it's okay to need some help. Like, you could be a $1 billion business and still need some help. Like, it's all right.
Yeah. With any business, it's about the brand and the message, right? And how you show up. And if you can help them, create a brand that's better for them, all the power to it, right? You know what I mean? Like, you put your name, your company name across that. Yeah. And so I think because we're in the age of technology, what's important with marketing, especially in a digital era?
So this is not my saying. I ripped it off of somebody and I don't remember how. It's hard to read the label from inside the bottle. So it's really hard to do for you what you need to do. So like all the ins and outs, the good, the bad, the ugly about yourself, but it's really hard to discern what your customers want to hear from you. So we come alongside our clients and we help, we pull out what's really important, what's going to resonate with their audience. Let's distill it down. And then in the age of technology, in the age of AI, you have to make sure that you're clear and consistent and different. So, you don't want to just lean on ChatGPT and sound like everybody else and also maybe accidentally plagiarize somebody else's content, because if you don't give it enough, it's just going to pull from the internet, which means it's going to rip off somebody else, and then you're using that content as if it's yours. Yeah, look out. Very serious.
How do you stop that? Like, I mean, a lot of people are using ChatGPT.
Yeah, I know.
Even to like.
Okay, this is true story. So I use chat. I love chat.
Yeah, me too.
When I show up with chat with like, here's my point of view, here's the experience I've just had, here's what I'm trying to accomplish, here's my vision. Like, take this crappy first draft and make it make sense. If I do that, the content is mine. It's in my voice. I've trained it, but it's mine. If I come up and say, I don't know what's right today, what should I talk about? What are some topics we can talk about? Okay, we'll talk about that. All right, write it for me. If I don't give it everything, I've taken content, run it through a plagiarism checker, and it's plagiarized.
My goodness. So like, if you're pretty much saying that even when you're using a tool like ChatGPT, that you really have to be very specific with what you're asking it to do. Otherwise, if it's too general, it will take away from.
Well, that's what's trained to do. It's not. And see,
that's the thing that so many people don't understand about this platform. It's amazing to help you, but like, there's so many things that like people don't realize.
It's not a ghostwriter. You have to be in the captain's seat, and you have to say, this is our tone of voice. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. It's great writers create great content in ChatGPT because we understand story structure. We understand what we're trying to accomplish. We're able to pull out like that makes sense. Where's that even coming from? That's not, like that you're just generating generic AI slop that's ripped from the internet because that's what you've been trained to do. But if you instead are coming up with this is my point of view. This is my story. This is my expertise. I'm trying to comment on this exact thing. Then it is yours. Then it is a great help.
I have never thought to whether or not it plagiarized, but now I know from personal experience from a business perspective. I just learned so many things that I would have never really thought that it would take, because I'm saying it in my voice and asking it, okay, this is Diva tonight, hosted, this is the guest, and you know what I mean? And in my voice. And so like, you just taught me something that I have to think about. So that's just mind-boggling. I'm just like blown away right now.
Keep showing up as you, and it's great. It's great. Feed it as much as you can, and you'll be in good shape.
Diva Tonight. Glamour for your ears. This is 40, a female perspective.
I do have an off-topic, starting from the beginning, but you're in business. And so is this like a family thing? Did you have a business mindset when you were younger? I always say, like, it's not where you're going, it's where you came from. So who instilled this mindset for you? I mean, this journey here.
Both of my parents were professional. They're both still with us, fortunately. My mom worked for IBM in sales for multiple decades, and my dad has owned his own business for my whole life in the insurance financial services realm. But even as a kid, I remember being interested in being a babysitter, not because I liked kids, but because I wanted to make money. And so I went to the local children's hospital.
Do that now. Just kidding.
I went to the children's hospital. I took like a safety class. I passed like the CPR test and like the poison prevention test. And like I bought a bottle of Ipecac syrup, which you used to use. I don't even think you're supposed to use it anymore, but to induce vomiting if someone ingests poison. And I like put it in my backpack and made a little flyer and like, rode around on my bike in the neighborhood, like handing out flyers, trying to get clients. It turns out I was a horrible babysitter. Did not have any repeat clients. I'm fine with my own kids, but I was kind of like, are you not an adult? Let's just talk like adults. But anyway, but looking back, it's like I wanted my own business. I wanted my own money. And so I had internships and jobs but boy, that first after school internship when I was at the PR firm, I was like, oh man, yeah, this is for me. So, it's sort of me, sort of the environment. So just kind of like, I think it's one of those things that's like the uniquely Lauren experience where, this is what I was meant to do. I don't think I'll ever own like a 50-person agency that overwhelms me. I like, the small but mighty. I can feed everybody with 2 pizzas. I can hug everybody and know, I want to know their families and who they are and all their wishes and hopes and dreams.
Yeah. No, I like that though. I think small is good. When I went to school at Humber for radio, and they always say when you're starting off, you're going to get a job at a small radio station because like working at a bigger radio station is when you've made it. Like you built yourself up to that point. But in small community radio is where you'll learn the most. And so even for you, I think you realize too, like when you're working for small businesses, you get to focus in and like help them build that brand. So when you say all that and just who you are, what is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind?
While you were getting to the question, I was thinking, one of the reasons I do like the smaller environment, because I was reflecting like, oh gosh, I've actually always liked a smaller environment. I went to a small school as a kid, went to a small liberal arts school, 1,500 people. Like I knew I wanted a classroom of like 20 people. Like I wanted to know my professors. I wanted to know the people. Like it's always been about the people for me. I want the human relationship. I don't want to have lots of friends. I want to have a few like really deep relationships. And so I think that is my legacy of how, the connections I have and the deep friendships and impact I make on, my loved ones and just how I see them and they see me and how we can help each other grow and love each other. And so it's, it's about the people for sure.
Yeah. And, it's interesting that you say that with the people, because I find like, like you said earlier that you're an empath, and I feel like I'm the same way. People have always been drawn to me. And like sometimes, Lauren, I just want to be like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to help you today. No. But like you said, it's the relationships you have with people. And I think as I've gotten older, like we haven't even talked about 40, but I think as I've gotten older in this age now that I realize that like I'm not going to care too much about what others think of me as much as I used to. And I'm always, because I work with people, like even my personal job, outside of the podcast, that I find that now it's easier for me to talk to people and not feel awkward about, I'm like, oh, should I say anything to that person? And hearing you reiterate the thing with people is so important behind any business, because we aren't, like, even if you don't directly talk to people all the time, we're in the people business no matter what. So
for now, until the robots have their own money. Sounds like they can shop for us now, but they don't have their own money yet.
So with PR and marketing, as someone who is a podcaster, how do I stand out, like make myself, other than being authentic? People keep saying you're just be authentic. That's the important thing. But as a PR person and someone who works in marketing every day, what do you say to that?
Yep. Well, they're right. Definitely be you, be uniquely Carlene. I think also being clear about what you want to have happen for your brand, knowing who you serve, how are you helping them, what does success look like on the other side of engaging with you in some way, whether it's listening to your content or if you have other pathways for them. I think knowing those things really help fuel your content engine. So your social, your blog, the podcast you're putting out, the guests that you're having on, viewing your screening through that lens of, okay, is this a good guest or a guest that's not a fit based on, are they helping me get to that goal of helping, my avatar of, so-and-so, whatever you want to name her. And then also, beyond that, being clear about that. So, what are your actual goals? What do you want to have happen? What are your calls to action? Who's you? Who's you? That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Who are you?
But that works. I guess. Who's you? We're all,
Who's you?
Yeah.
Getting the unfiltered version here. Who are you? Who is for you? And how do you want to help those people? And how do you, if they're not ready to engage with you, are there ways for them to connect with your content? Is there something you can give them so they're in your email list? You better email them if you want to talk to them. So building up your email list, providing good content, valuable content, something that, is what advice do you have to give? Like, what is your secret sauce and how can you package that up? Is where you need to start. And then from there, what other platforms can you be on to help amplify your podcast and your brand? So can you be on other shows? Can you contribute to what other channels and medium are available to you? So other blogs, other, news articles, so on and so forth. Like what all can you create? And then also, because right now is for AI in this moment in time, however long this is going to last.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the year of our Lord, 2025 in August, at the time of recording, this is true. I don't know what will be true when it airs.
Oh my gosh. I'm laughing, but it's so true. It's so scary. I never in my wildest dreams would I think it would be so advanced now. You know what I mean? Like technology has changed so much and
it always does. Let me land a quick plane and let me tell you something else about that. So right now, AI search is ranking earned media, so articles, columns, your traditional media is ranking those results higher and recommending. So if you say, I'm looking for a podcaster who's focused on women in their 40s, if you've got content out there other than what you own, it is going to pull that first. And then it will start to recommend based on, like your own blog or whatever, but it prioritizes quote unquote earned media ahead of other channels right now.
Right now.
But yes. But technology changes. When I started in 2003, we still sent press releases via fax machine. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. I mean, I've already seen stuff change tremendously in my 22 years. And it changed a bunch before that too. There used to be like, you used to have to hand do everything. So that's just job to change. We just have to stay on top of it without losing our minds.
Yeah. And the one thing I do want to say is because we're talking about marketing and PR, but what is the difference?
So when the people think about PR, they tend to think about working with the media, being a publicist, things like that. It's a little bit broader than that. As far as I was raised up in the industry, I was taught to think about PR as a function of management and leadership. So like casting a vision for the business, the reputation of the business. Some of the things that we do in PR aren't necessarily related to marketing. Sometimes, we're announcing executive changes or mergers and acquisitions or, things of that nature. We're doing crisis communications. Those aren't necessarily related to sales, which marketing is a function of sales. We're trying to get people to buy something, whether it's services or products or what have you. We're putting butts in seats. We're selling widgets. Marketing is a function of sales. You can usually measure your ROI a lot better with marketing. And so, marketing is usually PR, but PR is not always marketing. If I'm talking about a new executive vice president for a company, is that going to drive sales? Not necessarily. So.
Wow. Yeah. And so, you're talking about marketing and PR. And so if anyone is listening and they want to work with you, and they want your help, how do they go about it? I know you have a website and all that jazz. What do you do?
Oh, thank you. That'd be good. You can check us out. We're everywhere at Quedarco. So that's KWEDARCO. DARCO. So that's .com. That's all of our social channels. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active over there. Would love to chat. If you just have a question, feel free to drop me a DM. Then my podcast, The Impatient Entrepreneur, is The Impatient Entrepreneur Pod everywhere.
I haven't checked it out. The Impatient Entrepreneur. I got to check that out. Yeah.
Yes.
So as a businesswoman and a podcaster that has, whatever you said, it's going to be 8 years in October. When you started this journey at like 8 months pregnant, I can't even imagine. Like, woo! Like, and now the baby is not the baby anymore.
The baby's in second grade.
The baby's in second grade now. Oh, it's just like, it's your baby, which is like they say, like having a child is like owning a business. So like it's like 2 in 1. You know what I mean? Like you started both at like a pivotal time, like a crazy time. Like now that your baby is almost 8, what do you say to that?
Yeah, we're like, well, Lordy, here we go. It's so interesting. After I had my son, our second kid, and my business had started, I was telling people, like my son was born and I was reborn when I started. It was like a rebirth for me, owning my own business. And I do feel like, I'm Lauren 6.0 or wherever I am in this, at 44. And so, I'm proud of myself. The obstacles keep coming. I think sometimes as humans, we can think like, okay, I experienced this bad thing, so I'm good now. No more. Thank you. But having the resilience to get back up when you just get knocked in the teeth sometimes, successful people aren't necessarily successful because they had the best idea. They're successful because they just kept going and they believed in the idea and they psyched themselves up. 2025 has been a weird year. My sales cycles are the longest I've ever experienced. The, consumer behavior has been, I feel the same way. Like, it's just like the unsteadiness, the chaos, the confusion, the clouds kind of hanging over some of us. It's been a tough year and I've really had to dig deep to psych myself up sometimes. Like, how do I keep swimming? How do I just keep swimming? Because I have to show up for myself. I have to show up for my team. I have to show up for my clients. I have to show up for my children, my husband, my friends, my family. And it's a lot. But
it is a lot. When you list it all like that, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot. I can't believe it's about to be 8 years. I have not done this alone. I have an incredible team, incredible support system. I'm very blessed. But I'm also the one waking up in the morning and showing up. So I if you're listening to this and you're like, heck yeah, I'll be like, yeah, pat yourself on the back. You're doing it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I think it's like at this age in our lives that in our 40s, like we are pushing through. Like I think everyone is going through different things and it's people like yourself who are entrepreneurs that inspire us to like, if Lauren can do it, she has 2 kids. I don't have any kids, then I can suck it up and do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it goes to show that women are so like, we're powerhouses, and doing a lot.
Yeah. Helps to be I will say I trend toward optimism more than pessimism or skepticism. And I guess I'm like just delusional enough.
Oh, you screws loose, like, or just, it's true though, because I'd like to get back up again and do it again. You know what I mean? And the tenacity and the drive and the push, and so for anyone who's listening and they are in their 40s and they are starting it, what do you say to them? What is your, oh my goodness. She's like, wow.
Well, it's so funny. I think if we knew what was ahead of us, none of us would do it. It's like marriage or childbirth or anything like that. If we knew how hard it would be, we would not do it. But that doesn't mean it's not also glorious. And I think if you're starting a business right now, I'm super proud of you. You can do this. I think arm yourself with a support system who understands what it's like to be an entrepreneur, because not everybody does understand the sacrifices you have to make, the late nights, the worrying, the amount of sleep I lost at the first half of this year around taxes and payroll and all that. I was just like, oh my God. It's tremendous. But, being clear about why you're doing this and who you serve and hopefully you're using special skills and talents that really light you up and make you feel like you're in your flow state. And, but some people start businesses because they can't get a job too. And I see you too, whatever you got to do, find your joy somehow. But
because in this market, like you're saying, like,
yeah, I get it. But find people who understand what you're going through. And, so you have your own like mini board of directors so that there's people who understand who, if something's not going right, or you want to ask somebody a question about a contract or whatever, that you've got, your board of directors, as I called it, that you can call and reach out to and lean upon, who can, hopefully someone who's a little further along so they can guide you.
Like you mean like a mentor? Yeah.
But people you can rely on and help you. That's certainly made huge help for me.
I think you couldn't have said it any better. Like, it's so true. For me, I think it's what's helped me is having some good mentors along the way, like people who support you, like, in everything that you do. Like, my sister's been very helpful. And sometimes you're just like the drive. Like, I remember like one last thing, I was, on Saturday, I wasn't feeling 100%. And I said I was going to an event, and I'm like, so it took me a long time to get ready to go. And like my sister reminded me, you know what I mean? I think she's always been a little push that, helps you. And then when I finally got to the event, I'm like, I'm glad I did. You know what I mean? Yeah. I never would have met the people I did. And so even when you're not having the best day, I feel like when you keep your word to yourself, not to anybody else, that's when it's like, okay, I'm glad I did. Right? So,
reminding yourself why you're doing it too. I mean, like I'm an introvert by nature. And so the energetic shift into doing podcasts or doing my own podcast or going to events, like sometimes I have to kind of psych myself up a little bit because the energy drain is real, but it's like, no, this is a good thing. But then it also makes me more discerning about how I want to spend my time too. I'm like, this is really morbid, but I started declining things. I'm like, if I get killed on the way home from this thing, will I be mad about it?
Oh my God, saying no. That's the hardest thing sometimes. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm like, if it's a waste of my time, like if I spent time away from my beautiful children or my business or my sweet husband to do some dumb thing, I'm gonna be real mad. So it better be worth my time.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I mean, I'm trying, but yeah, I get what you're saying about that for sure. We're talking a lot about business, but like we didn't talk about you being a mom and juggling all the things. So as a mom and as a wife, how do you do all the things? How do you manage it all?
Yeah, it's on one hand, being my own boss is helpful because, I can make my own schedule. I can say, no, I'm not going to be available for that. I can go be at school. I can have lunch with the kids or if they, need to stay home, that makes it a little easier from time to time. One of my company policies is 2 mental health days per year per employee, no questions asked. And now I offer that to my kids, 2 days a semester, no questions asked, if they're, cause that now that they're getting older, sometimes there's like, I cannot,
Oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, they even told you? Oh my gosh, wow. Yeah.
So that's great. But then there's other times where I'm like, no, I can't do that because I have made other commitments or I've got to go do this because I need to recruit a new client. And so a couple of things have happened. One, I've invited, especially my kids, into the business. So I walk them through it. They, help me do little things around the office. They help me check my mailbox and cash checks and such. I talk about my day with them. I talk about when things are hard or when they're great. And then, as someone told me a metaphor a long time ago, it's like, we're all juggling balls. We all have balls in the air, but you need to know the difference between which ones are glass and which ones are rubber. And so if something's going to drop, you have to make sure that you catch the ones that are glass. My children are the ones that are glass. Now, that doesn't mean, I personally, for me, I think you have to decide like what works for you and which doesn't work for you. Like I know what I want to show up for and what has meaning for my kids. Like if they need me there for a class play or want to have lunch on their birthday or something like that, like that's what matters. If it's just like a class party, I don't want to go. I would rather have quality time with them doing something else. And I think figuring out like who you are as a parent, as a working parent, that's like, you have to make those decisions. And so I hold boundaries with my kids too. I say like, no, that doesn't work for me, but can I do something else with you instead? And, we figure that out together.
No, that's good though. I think boundaries is important because we just don't want to burn ourselves. Like you run yourself ragged because you said yes to everything. Right. Mm-hmm. And so teaching them boundaries too, that's so important. Exactly. And I like that. I like the 2 days off. I wish sometimes I had those days. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we do need a mental break. You do, like, you know, because it's a different time now. Like we're spending more time on technology, on everything. You have to like turn it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Last spring, so spring 2025, my daughter was in 4th grade. She's 10. She's in 5th grade now. She'll be 11 this fall. She woke up one morning. She's just like, I just can't. She's having a rough time with some social stuff. And she's like, I feel fine. I just don't think I can go to school today. Can I stay home? And I mean, you know, the look on her face was one, like she was shooting her shot. She was pretty sure I was going to be like, put your uniform on, young lady, and get out this door. And I thought about my day and I was like, yeah, you can stay home. And she's just immediately like, are you kidding me right now? I'm like, no, it's fine. Sometimes you just can't. That's okay. We can do this, you know, a couple times a year. You got to take it seriously, but you know, if you really need it, you can stay home and you can refresh, and you'll have some work to do. It's not just watch TV all day, but if you need to rest and recharge, you know, you need to honor that. You need to honor your body and your mind, and we'll start again tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think that's amazing that you instill that in your family. That's the first time I've heard that. And so, kudos to you, Mom. I think that's awesome. I felt that there. You know what? Even when you said it, like it felt like you were talking to your daughter. And so it's so important. Like, I think being the person that you want them to be and to be understanding, because I mean, like she'll remember that, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and also like learning, I don't feel like speaking of being in 40s, I don't feel like I learned to trust myself until I was in my 40s. And I was always looking for external validation of like, you know, whether it was like what to put in my body from a diet perspective, what was comfortable for me with like men, what I needed to say yes to or no to in a business context. Like I would always, you know, got so used to quieting my intuition and, you know, that other people were the expert in me. And so I'm trying to teach my children to be the experts in them and to listen to their own intuition and in all facets, and hopefully learning that more quickly than I did.
Yeah. I wish I can say the same thing, because you know what? Like you talk about that job. I had a job too. And, well, I still work now, but like this other job I was working, it was such a toxic environment, and I tried to organize the chaos, but you can't always organize chaos. And I think like you said, sometimes the warning signs are there and you're ignoring them. Like we're so intuitive as women. So I'm like that week before it happened, before I got laid off, like my manager was so like distant. And if anything, if I would just narrowed in on that, I would have known. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we ignore the things that are right in our face. And I remember, like, even in another job before, I had this gut feeling, and I said it to my coworker. I'm like, they're going to do something. Something's happening. And it happened. So, like, don't ignore the signs. Like, you know what I mean? And like, getting back to you, like, and your daughter, and just needing the time. Like, sometimes we just need a mental break from everything, because it's you come in better the next day. You know what I mean? Not every day is a good day, and so we rise above it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a podcaster and author, happiness expert, Gretchen Rubin. One of her rules is, you know, to ask more from yourself, you must give yourself, or I'm sure I'm messing that up, but I keep that in mind. You know, like I can't ask of myself anymore if my cup is empty. You know, I need to rest and recharge, and you know, there's a law of diminishing returns if you just keep pushing through.
Yeah. You know what? Like it's kind of the whole thing where you're trying to make yourself better, but the environment that you're in is taking that away. Then that's not a good thing either, right? And so it goes full circle. But I am so glad we got to talk.
Me too.
Lauren Cockrell, this has been amazing, and I hope we can talk again soon, because you are a world of knowledge, right? And for sure, all the way in Texas, right? You know, it's amazing what you do. And say again for me, like, so if anyone wants to check out your website, it's queedarco.com.
Yeah,
I have to check it out myself.
KWE. Yeah, just queedarco. The and is dropped from the URL. So queedarco.com. That's what we are on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the places. And then Lauren Queedar Cockrell on LinkedIn. So if you want to slide in my DMs, you may.
Absolutely. Amazing. I'm Carlene, and this is Diva Tonight with Lauren Cockerell. If this episode resonated with you, just send us a text on the show. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you, Carlene.
Diva Tonight with Carlene will be back. Send us a message on Instagram at diva_tonight.